Royal was no ordinary town. It was the glittering jewel of England's new Caribbean empire. The festering heart of vice. 6,000 people crammed onto a spit of sand no wider than a mile. Here merchants sold spices and slaves, rum and silver. Pirates drank away fortunes looted from the Spanish Main. The wealth of the Caribbean and the sins of the world were all gathered here. By night, the streets belonged to the taverns and the women. Brothels lined the alleys, their lanterns burning through the dark. Prostitutes and silk gowns from London and coarse linen from the docks alike pulled drunken sailors inside, trading flesh as casually as rum. Dice rattled, coins clinked. Men stumbled into the night with empty purses and soiled collars. Even the pious were tempted. More than one church elder was seen stumbling from a brothel before dawn. Priests warned it could not last. "This city is the Sodom of the New World," one preacher thundered. "God's judgment will come, like a thief in the night." And on that summer morning, the prophecy seemed to come true. At 11:43 a.m., the ground heaved upward. Streets cracked. Brick houses swayed and fell. The very sand on which the city was built turned liquid, quicksand, swallowing the living and the dead together. Men, women, and children vanished, screaming into the earth. Taverns collapsed into the waves. The great warehouses, where treasure from across the Caribbean was stacked to the rafters, slid into the sea. In less than 2 minutes, 2/3 of the city was gone. As the earth broke, the sea rushed in. Waves surged through the streets, lifting ships from the harbor and smashing them against each other. Masts cracked. Gunpowder stores exploded. Those who had survived the quake itself now faced drowning. As water poured over, the palisadoes split. One survivor recalled, "I looked, and all was carried away before my eyes." To the people of Jamaica, the quake was not just a disaster, it was judgment. For decades, Port Royal had been a city of pirates, prostitutes, and plunder. A place where flesh was traded as easily as sugar, where stolen Spanish silver poured into taverns, and drunkards staggered through the streets by morning. Now the priest declared, the sins of the people had been weighed, and the earth itself had delivered God's verdict. Some survivors knelt in the ruins, crying prayers of repentance. Others whispered that the devil himself had come to claim his due. When the shaking stopped, silence spread over the harbor. It was broken only by the cries of the wounded and the groan of shattered timbers drifting in the tide. More than 2,000 were dead within minutes. The Caribbean sun rose higher, burning hot on the ruins as if nothing had happened. Bodies lay unburied in the streets, swelling and splitting in the heat. Clouds of flies crawling so thick that the very air seemed alive. Dogs and pigs rooted through wreckage, gnawing on the flesh of the fallen. And among the living, desperation curdled into cruelty. Looters stripped rings from swollen fingers, tore silks from corpses, even wrenched gold teeth from gaping mouths. Treasure once plundered from Spanish ships was now stolen from neighbors, men with whom they had drunk only hours before. Across the harbor, survivors fled to a fishing village called Kingston. Only days before it had been a scattering of huts and canoes. Now it swelled with the dispossessed. Families who had lost everything camped on its firmer ground, raising shelters of canvas and wood. Merchants carried their trade across the water, and little by little, the life that had once defined Port Royal began to beat in Kingston instead. The English crown tried to rebuild the ruined port. Masons stacked stone on cracked foundations. Carpenters raised taverns again. Ships dropped anchor in the harbor. But the soul of Port Royal was gone. The swagger had drained from its merchants. The scent of wealth that once clung to its streets had vanished with the quake. Calamity returned again and again. Fire tore through what little had been restored in 1703. A hurricane ripped down what walls still stood in 1722. Each time, the sea claimed more of the spit of sand on which the city stood. Piece by piece, Port Royal disappeared. By the 19th century, it was little more than a shadow, a ruined fortress, half buried in sand, haunted by memory and catastrophe. Yet Port Royal's destruction was not the end of Jamaica's story. From its death came rebirth. Kingston, once a humble refuge, became a city of streets and markets, ships and harbors. On firmer ground, it grew, until it replaced Port Royal as Jamaica's capital and enduring heart. Empires fought for the island. Navies clashed across its waters, but Port Royal's greatest enemy had never been Spain, nor France, nor even the pirates who made it infamous. Its true conqueror was the earth itself. In less than 2 minutes, the wickedest city on earth was swallowed by the sea. And in its place, Kingston began to live. Yet beneath the waves, Port Royal still endures. 2/3 of the city lies preserved in the sand. Streets, taverns, and houses, frozen in time. And in July 2025, the world took notice. UNESCO inscribed Port Royal as a World Heritage Site, not for its sin, but for its survival. The wickedest city on earth, reborn as one of history's greatest treasures. A ghost city, alive beneath the Caribbean Sea of Jamaica.